A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things UEFA Champions League as I have a pre-match analysis of Ajax Amsterdam versus Benfica second leg. So, coming up into this mouth-watering UEFA Champions League round of 16 second leg encounter, we do have Ajax Amsterdam, which will be represented by the red side, and then Benfica will be represented by the blue side. So, last time out then, they did play in Portugal, where the game did end 2-2. And it is quite interesting then to note that Sebastian Haller did score at either end. So he did score one goal for Benfica, and then he scored one for Ajax Amsterdam. However, coming into this encounter, he will want to score all the goals for Ajax Amsterdam and ensure that they do advance to the quarterfinals. However, let's have a look at the tactical pre-match analysis. So, Ajax Amsterdam then, underneath Erik ten Hag's guidance, they have played quite the hybrid system with regards to their formation. So they do then play a 4-3-3, which then would at times transition to a 4-2-3-1 whenever they don't have the ball. So out of possession, they do look then to set up in a 4-2-3-1 block. In possession, it is a 4-3-3. However, whenever then they transition and advance into the opposition half, it does get very aggressive and very dynamic with regards to the shape and the offensive schemes that they do take up. So at times you can see a front four, at times you can see a front five, where they're looking then to have that numerical superiority against a back four. So when you also then look at Ajax Amsterdam, they are a side then that do enjoy wide overloads, wide rotation, positional play, and positional rotations, as well as they are quite the dynamic team. So let's head into it then. So in goals then, Andre Onana will start in goals as Pasveer has been injured in the past couple of weeks. So Andre Onana will take the gloves. With Andre Onana then, as much as he's in his mid-20s, this is a goalkeeper then who's very experienced for this Ajax Amsterdam side, and a goalkeeper then who's a very good shot stopper, also very comfortable on the ball, which then would facilitate for the build-up for Ajax whenever then they do look to play out the back. However, it's very important to note that with this Ajax Amsterdam side is that throughout the season, they were very, very solid from a defensive perspective, as they had only conceded a couple of goals. However, in the past few weeks, they've conceded quite a lot of goals. So this Ajax Amsterdam side have been leaky from a defensive perspective, which is uncharacteristic then of Erik ten Hag's side. So coming up into this encounter, it's going to be very important that they're defensively solid and they don't allow Benfica a lot of chances. Otherwise, it could be an uphill battle for them. So Andre Onana would start in goals, and then a back four of at left back, Daley Blind. So when you have a look at Daley Blind, this is a very experienced campaigner within UEFA Champions League football, within Dutch football, and for this Ajax Amsterdam side. One of the senior players within the side and one of the leaders as well. So with Daley Blind then, this is a player then who does look to offer the width for this Ajax side. However, what's key to note then is because of how Ajax play and what they're trying to achieve, a lot of the times you would see then Daley Blind on this side occupying a deeper pocket of space within vertical zone 1, which is the left wide channel. So he would occupy a deeper pocket of space. So he would offer the width just in a deeper pocket of space. Sometimes you would see him inverting and occupying that half space. At times you'll even see him making the half space run. So what's also key to note then is because of how dynamic this Ajax side are, and because then they do tend to enjoy wide overloads, positional play, and positional rotations as well, Daley Blind would obviously pick up a position in relation to where Dusan Tadic is, which is his left winger. So you do have then Daley Blind there. it's a player then who also has a phenomenal technical skill set with regards then to the crosses that he does play. So with Ajax Amsterdam, they do play a lot of crosses and they do look to penetrate from the wide area. So a lot of crosses would be played from the left wide channel, where they are looking then for Sebastian Haller. And that's where then you would have Daley Blind on the left hand side. Sometimes you would see Daley Blind then looking to come deep and joining a back three, where then they'll be looking then to facilitate a build-up through a back three. However, that is something that I will go into a lot further in the episode. So Daley Blind then would start at left back. And then when you have a look then at the two centre-backs, as the left-sided centre-back, you do have Martinez, and then as the right-sided centre-back, you do have Jurrien Timber. So when you have a look at this centre-back pairing, this is a centre-back pairing which are very, very comfortable on the ball and very good at progressing the ball for this Ajax Amsterdam side, especially then Timber, because this is a player then who plays those penetrative and creative passes in between the lines, where he's looking then for his more advanced players. So them two do start as a centre-back pairing. Martinez is the lot more physical centre-back, and he looks to engage play. Jurrien Timber does look then to cover, and he's the one then who looks to progress play and start play for this Ajax Amsterdam side from the back. And then on the right-hand side, you do have Mazraoui. So with Mazraoui then, this is a fullback who's been doing very, very well within the Eredivisie, within Champions League as well for this Ajax side, and a fullback then that has drawn so much attention across Europe. So when you have a look at Mazraoui then, his role is quite important, because then when you do have a look at the right-hand side for Ajax, they do start with Antony as the right winger. So a lot of the times then, synonymous then to Dusan Tadic, Antony would keep very wide and high on the right-hand side within vertical zone 5. So he would look to stay within this channel. And then Mazraoui would be looking to invert a lot of the times. Sometimes he does make that half space run, and sometimes he does operate deep within that half space, where then he can look to progress the ball. However, in relation then to where Antony would be, you would see positional play and rotations as well being instituted then by the pair on the right-hand side. So whenever Antony, for example, would look to occupy the half space, then you'd have Mazraoui looking to overlap. However, when Antony does occupy the right wide channel, then you'd have Mazraoui occupying the half space as well. So when you have a look at this Ajax side, they're a very, very dynamic side underneath Erik ten Hag. And then when you move on then right along, within the heart of midfield, you do have, you would have Alvarez. So with Alvarez then, this is a defensive midfielder. He's very good at breaking down play. He's not the most comfortable on the ball. So he's not a player who's going to always look to get onto the ball and dictate terms from the middle of the park. But he does keep it simple. He does rotate the ball, and he looks to play a very simple game. And he does look to help this Ajax side build up from the back. But he's a very simple player. His main task within the team is to ensure that he offers that solidity then from a defensive perspective within vertical zone 3, which is the center of the pitch. And then when you do have then a look at their two number 8s, you do then have Gravenberg, who likes to occupy the left side. And then you've got Berghuis, who then occupies the right side. However, with Berghuis, it is then key to note that with Berghuis that he does push up a lot more. So within this midfield 3, he is a lot more advanced and a lot more creative. So at times, he does look to occupy zone 14, where then he's looking then to create sort of that front 4. So then you would have, let's just put Tadic there. You would have Antony there. And then you would have Sebastian Haller there as well. So that is what you would see from this Ajax side a lot of the times. So that is sort of the shape that you would see a lot of the time. So it does look somewhat of a 2-4-4 shape as opposed to a 4-4-2. So a 2-4-4 shape is what you would sometimes see from this Ajax Amsterdam side. So Berghuis then is the lot more creative from the heart of midfield. He does look to break into the box. He does look then to offer that final third penetration from the heart of midfield. So this is how then this Ajax side would look then to take up their offensive scheme within the opposition half. on the left-hand side, you do have Dusan Tadic. He is then their key player with regards to the chances that he creates. And he's also then a player who's played a lot of crosses within Champions League football. He does rank quite high up with regards to successful crosses into the box, as he is then looking for Sebastian Haller. And Sebastian Haller then is one of the best finishers then of crosses within world football as a striker. So a lot of the times then they are looking to find Sebastian Haller. So Dusan Tadic would start on the left-hand side. However, I did mention that they do have these very intense and aggressive wide overloads. So how then they'd be looking then to institute those wide overloads? So on the left-hand side, for example, you could have a situation then where you would have Daley Blind there, you could have Gravenberg there, you could have Dusan Tadic, and then you could have Haller. So at times that is a 4v2. It can also be a 4v3. It can be a 3v2 as well. So those are the wide overloads that they are looking to institute. They penetrate through the wings and then they look to bring the ball into the box. However, what's also key then about this Ajax Amsterdam side is the runs they make off the ball to create space for one another. And they make a lot of deep runs, and they make a lot of half space runs as well, where then they're looking to penetrate. Because then the wingers would always stay high and wide, this then would always draw the fullback, and then that pocket of space, which is the half space, is always available. Either a pass can be slipped into there, or a run could be made in there. And a lot of the times then they do have an aggressive front four. However, at times you would see even Gravenberg pushing. And if Gravenberg pushes, then you could even see somewhat of sort of this aggressive front five. So they do tend to become very aggressive within the opposition half, where they're very dynamic. And then on the right-hand side, you then have Antony. With Antony, this is a very skillful, very creative, and very, very fast winger. He is Brazilian. He does play with that samba flair, and a player then who I've enjoyed watching. And with Antony as well on this side, because he does play as an inverted winger, he does look to come onto his left foot. And what he's very good at then is that he can often whip those balls into the back post a lot of the times, where then he's looking for Haller, or he's looking for a late run by Dusan Tadic into the back post. At times, because he is very skillful, he can look to then go one-on-one with his man. And when you do have a look at this Ajax Amsterdam side, they would overload the left-hand side to ensure then that they isolate Antony with his man one-on-one, which then does create that qualitative superiority, because one-on-one situations, Antony is one of the best wingers then in world football when it comes to taking his man one-on-one. And he also then does enjoy quite the dual role for this Ajax Amsterdam side, because he can play as a wide dribbler. At times, he does look to come into that half space. And when he does come into that half space, he does then occupy that inside forward role, where then he's looking to come onto his favorite left foot. And he's also got an eye for goal as well. So he is then one of their most dangerous players, and a player then who's been key for this Ajax Amsterdam side with regards to chance creation and the goals that they score as well. However, without the ball in the opposition half, they do also look to become aggressive with regards to their press. So their first line of press is very, very aggressive, and their rest defense is also quite good as well. So that is Ajax Amsterdam with regards to how they play. They don't give the opposition too many chances, and they are a team then that throughout the season, they haven't conceded a lot of goals. However, in the past couple of weeks, they've conceded a lot more chances, which is uncharacteristic of them. So I do see them looking to tighten up in this game. And of course, off the bench, they do have other quality players that could always look then to add value to this Ajax Amsterdam side. So they do have Tagliafico, who does play as a left back. You do have Davy Klaassen within the heart of midfield. You do have Dave Neres as well, which is a Brazilian winger who's also very exciting. So that is this Ajax Amsterdam side then with regards to how they look to go about things. They have been one of my favorite teams within Europe this season, and they play really exciting brand of football, very dynamic, very aggressive, and a team then that play at a very high intensity. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying the episode, please do hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. However, let's move on right along then, and let's have a look at this Benfica side. So Benfica then, when you do have a look at Benfica, they are guided by Nelson Verissimo. And with regards to Nelson Verissimo, this is then a figurehead who's been at Benfica for a very long time with regards to the fact that he has coached other groups as well, and he did coach the B team. However, he does find himself in the driving seat as he is in charge of the first team. So with this Benfica side, they're also a side then that look to impose themselves on the opposition from a ball-playing perspective. They are very brave on the ball. They do look to play out from the back, and a side then that have very exciting players. However, let's have a look at some of those players. So with this Benfica side then, they do play a hybrid system. So it is then a 4-4-1-1 or a 4-4-2 at times. So it does variate and it does transition into different shapes with regards then to where the opposition is and where the ball is in relation to the phase of play. So in goals then, they do start with Vlado Dimos. That is their goalkeeper. Goalkeeper then who does look to build up play from the back. Very comfortable on the ball and very comfortable then at playing those diagonals into his fullbacks who would look to go high and wide whenever they're looking to facilitate that build-up. And then when you have a look at their back four then, at right back, they do have Gilberto. So with regards then to Gilberto, this is a very offensive-minded fullback. So he does look to get high and wide, and he does look to offer the width for this Benfica side. And then when you have a look at the centre-back partnership, you do have Otamendi, and then you do also have Vertonghen. So these two then are very, very experienced campaigners within Champions League football, with Otamendi having played for Manchester City, Vertonghen having then gone all the way then to the UEFA Champions League final when he did play for Tottenham. So very experienced, and they're also then very comfortable on the ball. And what then I like about this partnership is that it does give you then that natural positioning with regards to how they look to play out from the back, because Otamendi is right-footed. So when he does open up onto his right foot, looking to take that progressive touch and push it into space. With Vertonghen, he does then look to open up and take that ball then on his favorite left foot. So that is then their centre-back pairing, and they're also then very, very solid, and they are also then key with regards to offering the presence and offering goals for this Benfica side when they do pop up in the opposition box with regards to set pieces as well. And then at left back, they do have Alex Grimaldo. This is then a left-sided defensive player then who's got quality from a technical perspective with regards to his crosses and his set pieces as well. So at times he does look then to offer the width, but it is then in relation to where Everton would be, because sometimes then Everton would drift wide and look to take his man and look to then occupy the role of a wide dribbler. However, he does then offer them width a lot of the times on the left-hand side. And then when you have a look at the midfield, you do then have Adel Taarabt and Julian Weigl. So when you do have a look at Adel Taarabt, this is, you know, they often say the streets won't forget. This is one of those streets won't forget ballers. You know, we did see him start out within the English Premier League where he did very well for Tottenham, for QPR, where he was so expressive and so flamboyant on the ball, where he was then playing as a number 10 and sometimes off the left-hand side. However, he's now turned into quite a fine defensive midfielder and very solid then within the heart of midfield for this Benfica side. And what I like about him is that he offers great duality with regards to both sides of the coin, because he does then offer you then that skill and that combative play within the heart of midfield. However, also very comfortable on the ball, where then he does look to progress the ball for this Benfica side through those central channels. So a player then who will look to get onto the ball and dictate terms as well. And then you've got Julian Weigl, also then a very exciting midfielder who did start out at Borussia Dortmund, but he now finds himself in Benfica colours as well. So within the heart of midfield, this is a very solid base within the heart of midfield. They're very comfortable on the ball, and they do then offer that energy and those legs within the heart of midfield for this Benfica side. And then when you do have a look at the right-hand side, they do then start with Rafa Silva. So Rafa Silva then has been their most creative player. He is their playmaker. He has provided plus 20 goals and assists this season for this Benfica side within the Premier Liga. So he is very creative, and he is the player then that they look to create those opportunities for this Benfica side. So what's interesting to note then about Rafa Silva is that as much as he starts on the right wing, is that he's not the most fastest or the most skillful. However, he is very, very creative, and he does offer this Benfica side that positional superiority with regards then to how he looks to drift into that half space and looks to drift in between the lines, where then he can receive the ball, look to turn and create those opportunities for this Benfica side. Also, something that he's very good at then is that he does tend to drift past players with ease, so he does have that ability then to pick up the ball, drop shoulder, beat one or two players, and then create an opportunity for this Benfica side. He can score goals and he can provide assists as well. So he will be then their key player who does look to occupy the half space, who does look to come in. At times, he can look to go wide, one-on-one with his man, and he does then have very deceiving trickery because he's not the quickest, but he can go past you. So Rafa Silva then, who starts on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side then, you do have Everton. And Everton then is also then another Brazilian who's very skillful, very tricky, who's got an eye for goal and very creative as well, as he does look to provide assists for this Benfica side. And then up front, then you do have Darwin Núñez. This is their key player then with regards to the goals, as he has scored so many goals for this Benfica side. He scored a lot of goals within the Premier Liga, and he scored a couple within Uefa Champions League. And then you've got Ramos, who normally starts in behind. If not Ramos, then it could be Yamaluk. So this is how then Benfica look to impose themselves. So they do look to get the fullbacks high and wide, where then they would get Rafa Silva and Everton occupying those half spaces, and then looking then to ensure that they're able then to overload the center of the pitch, where then they could look to have that numerical superiority and look then to attack this Ajax Amsterdam side. However, when I do look at this encounter, it is a mouth-watering encounter, and they will then be playing in Netherlands, and Ajax Amsterdam will be home. So it's going to be very interesting with regards to this tie, as we do know that there are no away goal rules with regards then to the UEFA Champions League this season. So that doesn't count. So the 2 goals that Ajax Amsterdam did score, that doesn't really give them a significant advantage, as they do have to score goals and do the job at home. So when I do look at this encounter, then I do foresee Ajax Amsterdam winning this game 3-0 and then making it 5-2 on aggregate. Ladies and gentlemen, do let me know, what do you make of this UEFA Champions League mouth-watering round of 16 second leg encounter between Ajax Amsterdam and Benfica? Thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Liolo. Signing out.